Hey everyone, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome to this Stretch and Mobilize class. I have to tell you, I am really honestly so happy that this was the format that was chosen today. I thought we were gonna have circuit training, and it's just been a little bit of a rough health week. So sometimes, you know, your past self takes care of your future self. And when I was like, oh right, it's Stretch and Mobilize, I just felt this regulation of the nervous system. So I hope you felt the same. You can see Flashy's with us today. He decided to stretch and mobilize even though his head's out of frame. You can see his big strong body in frame. So today we're going to go through a nice, gentle, and effective series. We're focusing on joint mobility. We're focusing on just creating a bit of space in the body and some lightness overall. You know, it's not about our body weight per se. It's about, you know, just kind of the mental load that we carry that I think weighs us down. So my hope is that through creating space through our spine and through our hips and shoulders and neck and all the places that we begin to create some lightness in our entire being. I also want to say a special big love out to those of you in the LGBTQ+ community. Today is the first day of Pride Month. Some of my best friends, most amazing teachers, you know, people in the community that support me so much are a part of this community, and I just want you to know you are loved, and I'm here to celebrate you today and all of us. So I see Tracy's here. If you're here, comment below. I've got my little commenter situation up here, and let's get ready, right? So we have we're going to use maybe some weights. You can also use your hands as the weights. If you feel like you need an option for sitting in a chair that's going to be a little bit more accessible than sitting on the floor, have a chair nearby, or if you have your rebounder, sit on your rebounder. And then I also, last minute, I grabbed a strap, a towel, anything you have nearby will help you, all right? We're going to begin seated. Yay! Sitting on the ground, Flashy, it's so good. We're gonna rest, we're gonna do all the things, my good boy. All right, so whether you're seated in your chair or seated on the floor, let's take your hands on your knees and let's just take a moment to arrive. And you know what that means, like if you're on a plane, we haven't like deplaned yet into the motion of the next thing. Rather, we've arrived on our mat. So it's like the plane has just touched down and it's like, oh, okay, we made it here. We got to the mat. So take your hands on your knees and let's just round our spines backward, just opening up. Good. And then let's reach all the way forward. Of course, I put the whole little mat out for him and he's gonna be completely interrupting, right? And then let's go again. Good. Rounding back. I'm looking at your comments, Tracy. Just going back and forth a couple times. Oh, I am here to do this beautiful class with you too. I am, it's been a little bit of a week, you know? I have a couple of autoimmune conditions and you don't know how they're going to show up. So you just got to roll with them. So yesterday I was parked on the couch, to be quite honest with you, and that was what it needed to be. Yeah. All right, so let's rock back again. And this time as we come up, I want you to look over your right shoulder and just take a peek. Turn your head, look at your eyes, look with your eyes. See the farthest thing you can see behind you. And then let's go ahead and roll back. But one thing I did do that was pretty exciting this week is I put some birdseed out of my window where I do my coaching and my admin work in the studio. And I got cardinals. And that was a very, very good highlight of my week. All right, so we're going back and forth. Teach, Jenna. And look over your right shoulder. Rock back round. And then look over your left shoulder. Honestly, you all, like whatever you're doing right now, as long as it feels good, is exactly right. So let's just remember that, right? One more time each side. Ooh. So this series, this Stretch and Mobilize series, is one that I created for my online studio. It's a 6-week series, and the intention, let's come back to center, and bring your arms down to the side. We're gonna lift our shoulders up to the ears and just close the space between your ears and your shoulders, kind of no neck, and then reach your hands and slide them out really long so you have a long neck on both sides. The intention of the series was just to give us some options for mobility work that were mobile, so it didn't feel like you were just laying down the whole time, although sometimes that's really good, and helped you feel a little more able in your body. So that's kind of the theme we're working with today. Let's do 2 more of these, just lifting up towards the ears and reaching down and out, nice and wide. And 1 more. Good, and reach down and out. And this time we're gonna lift our left arm up, whether it goes out to the side or all the way overhead. Let's take it into a side bend, reaching. Really stretch open through your hands and your fingers so you're nice, wide. Jazz hands. Good, and come all the way up today. And then reach over to the other side. Good, jazz hands. And then lift up and over. Again, let's do it again to the side. Big breath in, big breath out, allowing that entire space to just open along the side of your body, reaching and breathing and allowing the other space. And then we're gonna take it 1 step farther. So we're gonna lift up and over. And then I'd like you to rotate your chest towards your right thigh and just imagine you were reaching to pick something up. So you can let that shoulder shrug, you can let your fingers stretch, you can let everything kind of reach. You want to feel tension down the side. When we say tension, it's more like that sense of taut tissue. Just a little pull there, and take your breath into that space. And then rotate out to the side, opening up, lifting and placing it down, and up and over to the other side, and then rotate. Somebody's gonna get a tummy rub. Hi! Yeah, that's good stuff. If you have your dog nearby, it's a perfect opportunity for some good scratches and stretches. Maybe that's what we should have called this class, huh, Flash? Scratchy, stretchy. Good. All right, let's take it back to the side. Punk, and all the way down again. And let's go all the way over to the side. This time, we're gonna turn the palm and your chest, your sternum, up to the sky. And I want you to press through the bottom hand so you don't feel like you're collapsing here, but rather you're lifting and arching and opening. You can take that top arm to whatever angle allows you to feel that opening across your chest. Maybe you can send some breath right up into the chest bubble. And then come all the way to the side. Come all the way back up. Let's go to the other side, lifting up and over. And then rotate and take a moment. Breathe into it. Let it release. And 1 more. Good. Coming back to the side, and then come back up to the center. We're gonna do a little chin nod. Now, when you nod your chin, just take your first two fingers and drop your chin into your throat. So the action we're going towards is shortening the front of your throat, but lengthening the back. And sometimes when we drop our chin, we end up doing that. So instead of letting the chin drop forward like so, we wanna just almost lift your hairline in back, so the back of the neck gets really long. You get that nice stretch from the base of your shoulders to maybe even the top of your head, and then you're actively engaging the front of your throat, which is important, which we're all afraid of doing because God forbid there's a double chin. Well, guess what? We all have them, so double the fun. Double the stretch. Good. Lifting up. Now, from here, from your little notch between your collarbones and your chin, create the most stretch and length there. Open it up on either side of your throat, reaching, looking, lifting your cheeks, lifting your chin. and then lengthen back to center. Let's do that again. Drop your chin down, lift the back of your head up, just like somebody's giving a gentle tug. You could even gently tug your own head up towards the sky, and allowing the shoulders to be heavy as you do that. And then coming back through center, and the opposite, lifting up through the front of your throat. Good, and come back to center. All right, so I'm gonna teach you one of my favorite stretches, and it's the most awkward thing ever, and I can't talk while I do it. So the directions are, we're gonna turn our head to the right, and then we're gonna lift the chin just like you did. But this time you're gonna become what I call a Pomeranian. So you're gonna give yourself an undershot. Your lower jaw is gonna jut out, so your lower teeth come out farther than your upper teeth. I know, it's wacky, but it gets into these deep neck muscles, and believe me, you're gonna feel it exactly where you should. So we turn our head over to the right. We tilt our chin up, and then you're gonna reach your lower jaw out like this. I know, it's weird, but hopefully you're feeling it right in that little Bermuda Triangle of the neck. You can tilt your ear back too and see if that's an angle that works better for you. And then relax your jaw and come back to center and forward, right? It's weird, but it works. Twist and turn to the left. Lift your chin up and then jaw out. And just play with the angle there. Is it higher with the chin? Is it farther back? Is it lower? And then relax everything to the center. Should we get that one more time? Let's go. Let's go one more try. Look over to the right, lift the chin, and then relax everything back to the center. Go over to the left, lift the chin. And good, back to center. All right. Ear to shoulder, right ear to right shoulder. My worst. My worst, my worst, my worst. Come back to center. Ear to left shoulder. Come back to center. And same thing here. Play with a little bit of the angle of your chin. So move it forward a little bit, drop it in a little bit. See what wants to be stretched. We're kind of after that moment where you go, oh, that's what I need. When you have a response in your body like that, that's like, oh yeah, yeah, oh, I need that. It's almost like a thank you from your body, like, oh yeah, thanks for reminding me, and I needed that. Good. All right, coming back to center. One last thing, we're gonna do a little circle with our head. So chin to your throat down, then slowly roll your head over, right ear to right shoulder. And then slowly reach backward, opening up the front of your throat, making your way all the way over to the other head tilt, left ear to left shoulder, and then all the way down through center, and come back through the middle. If you need a little more time in any position, take it. Let's go the other direction. Chin down, over to the side. To the other side and back through center and lift up. Well, we do one more. Chin down, reach around all the way through and up, dizzy. Last one. So sometimes moving your ears around, moving your eyes around, moving your neck around, it can just kind of work your vestibular system, all the fluid in your head, around your inner ear, the stuff that kind of helps you stay balanced. So it's not uncommon to feel dizzy, but if it gets too much, blink your eyes a couple times, come back to center, and we'll be all right. Okay, so bring yourself down onto the ground or take your hands on the back of your chair, bring your feet forward so they're standing like so. And we're gonna keep our chest facing front as we just simply drop the knees over to one side, come back to center, drop your knees over to the other side. So what we're starting to work is a little bit of passive internal and external rotation of our thigh bone in our hip joint. So your left leg, if you're mirroring me, is pushing to the ground, and your right leg is also pushing to the ground. But when we switch, your right outer thigh presses, your left inner thigh presses. And then there's also a little bit of rotation happening in your lower back. So you don't have to tighten everything to keep your chest from moving. Just be aware whether you're moving your chest to move your legs or whether you're trying to isolate the movement into the lower half of the body, because it does help if you do that. Good. All right, let's go a couple more times. It's just kind of loosening up, bringing some what we call synovial fluid. It's the joint fluid that helps to lubricate and helps movement be a little easier, especially for things like squatting and lunging and even walking. Good. One more time. Good. All right, so we're going to come back to center and make a diamond. And if you'd like to use weights here, you can. I've been working on this particular little pattern for a bit, so I'm gonna use my heavier weights, but I would suggest like 5 or 3 pounds, and just be sure that you don't put them right directly on your knee joint, but somewhere on the fleshier part of your thigh above. If you're using the bala circles, that it just kind of works out that they're just here and they land, and then I'm just gonna keep my hands to keep them where they're at. So we're gonna start to close our inner thighs. And when you do this, like, I can automatically feel that I'm more stationed with my weight on one side. So we want to feel grounded and balanced in our sits bones. And then as we start to lift up through the top, we want to just feel those inner thighs activate. We're going to lift them up. We're going to hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Working with gravity, slowly lower your legs down and let the weights influence your thighs to maybe open a bit more. Now, if you don't have weights, you can use your hands as the weight. So you just press up against your hands, find that place of kind of end range contraction where you're really working it up there. Hold it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then push with your hands, resist with your legs. Don't just flop them open, and see if you can find a little more opening. Yeah. And then let's go again. So this is the Mobilize piece. And certainly if this is too much for your legs, you can absolutely do it without weight. The weight is not imperative. We always want to move in a space that's known and challenging, and use things like resistance to enhance what's already happening naturally in the body, or to highlight what should be happening in the body. So if you're having a hard time feeling it, sometimes adding a little weight on can be helpful, or holding. But if you are feeling it a lot, you don't get extra points for adding the weight on. I'm sorry. We're always looking for the bonus points, aren't we? Let's lift up. Bring it up to the top. Hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release, 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 release with control. Let's do 2 more times. I'm feeling it. Hopefully you are too. So find that top. Hold it, and then release. You'll notice I'm not closing my legs all the way, and the reason for this is that if we close them all the way, the inner thighs get to rest at the top. So we want to work them in that kind of gray zone between all the way closed and all the way open, where they're working. Can you feel them working? Can you feel them working? Let's hold it, let's hold it, let's hold it, and then slowly release down. Now, on the last one, we're gonna go up there to the point of tension, and whether you're using your hands or a weight or just the position itself, I want you to stay there until you feel like you're at a level 7 out of 10. 10 is you can't hold it anymore. 1 is it's super easy, all right? So find your contraction point. There's mine, and we're just gonna hang out. Just resting, just letting that muscle contract itself into oblivion. And just think about it. Where are you now? I'm about at a 6, and I'm moving into a 7-8 arena. So once you get into that 7-8 arena, then give yourself permission to lower all the way down, and then we'll take the weights off. Just a little influencing of your inner thighs. Let's take our left foot in. Let's take our right leg out like so. And then we're gonna take our hands to the ground. You can also do this on the chair. It just means your heel will be out farther on the chair, and then your foot will be a little bit in front or standing like so. So we're gonna roll onto the left sit bone, and I want you to let your leg rotate as far inward as you can. So your knees and toes are pointing to the left side if you're mirroring me. And then we're gonna rotate as far back as we can. So the knees or toes are pointing backwards. So this is a longer way of working that rotation that we started with when we were sitting. We shift our weight into the left hip. We're rotating all the way in, almost pressing hip back to front. So you feel a stretch here and maybe some things happening inside of the joint. And then you open, and then you rotate so that toe and knee are pointing back. Sometimes it's helpful to imagine laser beams coming out of like your middle toe and the center of your knee. And so you're pointing them at Flashy, and then you're rolling backward, and then you're pointing them behind you. And then another point of kind of awareness is rolling on your heel. So I'm doing a good deal of pressure on that leg, rolling all the way to the inside of my heel, and then rolling all the way through the center of the heel, and then pressing into the back edge of the heel, just stimulating that a little more. Let's do 2 more. So I would say this is a little progression of the 2 feet on the ground. And if you wanted to make this a little harder, it would be about removing support. So if you wanted to make it a little bit more challenging for yourself, this is where you would try to do it without the use of your hands on the floor, allowing yourself to lift up. But if it's good for you, there's no need to push what we're doing. Let's go to the other side. Scoot over a little bit. Ooh, there's that pop. Good old pop. Any dancers out there, you know what I'm talking about. It's like that's the one we look for, right? All right, so lifting and rotating and reaching and slightly scratching the dog, and then all the way back and rotating to the back of your heel. Good. And of course, if your leg isn't going as wide as mine, that's fine. Just pick an angle that works for you. He's like, don't wake me up, Mom. I don't like it. Rolling all the way in. You might feel too that there's a real difference between the way and the ease with which one leg rolls into the position versus the other. I definitely am feeling that right now. So as we go through, we want to just take it just to the edge. Take it to the limit is what I was gonna say. Take it. All right, good. You know you can't sing those songs because you get in trouble. So we can sing one thing. Again, the big hope is that someday when the book comes out, we will get all the people wanting to pay for all the music so we can enjoy all the songs. Until then, we enjoy the music we can afford. Let's keep going. A couple more. If you are ready, willing, interested in trying without a little bit of support, go for it. Yeah, and if you have any knee twinges whatsoever, then I just want you to be aware of that. Sometimes bending your knee slightly is going to help. Sometimes trying something different, standing up, is going to be a better option for you. That makes it a lot easier. So I'm after resistance, but you know, I always want you to have choices there. All right, so we're going to come off of the seated position and just come back for 1 minute before we come onto our hands and knees and just feel where you're at. Hopefully it feels a little easier to sit balanced on both sitting bones. From here, we're gonna go into a little shoulder work. Tracy, I got you, girl. So you can do this a couple different ways. If being on your knees is challenging for you, you can always stand with your elbows on a countertop or your hands on a chair. And you can do this just literally with the hip hinge forward. But if you're okay for the knees or you need a knee pad, go ahead and grab it. And we're gonna be right here, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. What I'd like us to start with is just leaning forward a bit into our wrists, not into pain, especially for those of you who are kind of carpal tunnel-y, you know who you are. Just go into, you feel kind of a gentle stretch, no pain, no sharpshooters, and then ease out. So reaching forward, pouring weight towards your knuckles, letting your hands get wide and massive, just letting them take the weight of your body back and forth a few times. Good. And all the while, just checking in with your neck, your shoulders. Can you carry over that just really good work that we did into this exploration? All right, from here, we're gonna stand on the front of your hands. Now, let's do it one hand at a time so it's not so intense, but you can pour weight into the front of your hand, and then as you hinge back a little bit, get a little stretch. All of the wrist stretches are really gentle. There's certainly some muscles around your forearms that can be really nicely attended to, but there's a lot of nerves there too, so we don't need to be harsh in this one whatsoever. Find a position that works for you, and then move back and forth a few times. And then we'll go over to the other side. Ooh, shake it out. Find the other side. And then just leaning back and forth. Remember that the objective here is to feel good. So if anything is not feeling good, then ease off of the range or the weight that you're putting onto it. And just remember that nice, I call it self-attendance. It's that feeling of showing up for yourself, showing up for your wrists, showing up for your joints, for your body, and listening in. All right, come on back. Hands underneath your shoulders, and then we're gonna shift the weight to the back. We're gonna do a little circle around, pouring the weight into the wrist, shift the weight to the side, and go ahead and let yourself circle your hips all the way back. So hips go to the back, and trust yourself to find the mobilization you need here, especially through your hips, especially through your knees, through your sides, whatever you need is correct. Remember, we're after thank yous in this class from our body. Not that hesitation of like, really, you sure? No, we want thank you. Yes, thank you. I want that. I want more of this. Oh, hey, Joy. Tracy shows up as red and Joy shows up as purple. So even if I can't read it exactly, I can see that you're here. Keep going and circling. Oh no, you'll do it tonight and you'll love it, Joy. It'll be great. I'm glad you popped in to say hi though. Let's reverse our circles, everyone. Yeah, the internet has been really interesting lately. I was supposed to have a big meeting this week and everything was down all at once, and it was the amount of work it took to get everybody coordinated to go into this meeting was just like, it could have been catastrophic, but we made it work. All right, so hopefully you're feeling a little more open in your circles. By the way, my friends, we're back on Monday. We had like random soccer tournaments, birthday kid. It was just a very, very chaotic end of May, but I've missed you bouncing on Monday. We're gonna bounce on Monday again, okay? We're back in our regular schedule, set the week with the bounce. Okay, so from here, again, use a countertop or come down onto your elbows. And if you can take your hand behind your head or to the sides of your head, that's wonderful. And then we're just sitting back so the majority of our weight is back towards our legs, our lower legs. And what we're gonna do is just open one side as much as you can. And it is like I'm pressing my head gently into my hand, but really more than that, I'm reaching the upper elbow, kind of pressing it backward and turning my chest towards the sky. And then we come back to the center. We're just gonna alternate that a couple times. So this is a really, here we go with the pops, a really great way to encourage a little rotation. There's another pop of our rib cage and a little bit of shoulder stability and health. So remember that you're not trying to hold your weight with your arms. You're holding your weight through your legs, and you're just letting your upper body mobilize and reach through. And that's where we get all this good, juicy rotation. Good. Let's do a couple more, maybe 3. If this is really challenging for you, you can always do it on your hands, and we'll be doing a little of that in a moment. Good. All right, come on up. Take your hands underneath your shoulders, and you can always go here and back to center, and here and back to center. Sometimes that can even feel good. Let's do one more each side. Yeah. And we are going to thread the needle on the next one. So we're going to do 4 threadings of the needle. So we're going to reach up and then use that arm to thread the needle. Your weight is balanced between the hand that's still on the mat and your legs. Lower your shoulder down and then press through that front hand and reach up again. Maybe a big breath at the top and then maybe an exhale at the bottom. And I say maybe because I want it to feel supportive for you. So if this big inhale helps you open, go for it. If it does not, that's okay too. Reach and reach through. Let's go one more. And all the way through. Good. Stand back onto your hands and knees and round your spine. And then release and keep going. I know. Monday, I missed you all on Monday too. It was hard for me. I was like, what am I missing? I'm trying to keep this out of frame. I'm gonna just keep it over here so I can chat with y'all. All right, let's go to the other side with this thread the needle. Let's reach it up and then reach it through. And we're working on more of a flow here, so we're not particularly trying to hold for too long. Good. The only time I will take off on these classes is if it's a family obligation and or if I'm not feeling well. Otherwise, I'm here. Good. And we did not know. My son made it to the finals in his soccer tournament, so that was the wrench in the gear. And of course, the game was at 9. And I did consider bringing my rebounder to the park. Let's round. But then I was very, very tired from the day before. Arch, round and arch a couple times. Good. All right. So we're gonna continue with just 2 more exercises and a breather, okay? So let's take a step forward. You can absolutely stand in a lunge for this one if you're done with being on your knees, and you can we're gonna do a little rotation and side bend. But if you're on your knees and you can manage it, it does help. So we're gonna take the hands behind your head and or across your shoulders. We're rotating towards your front knee. We're bringing your elbow down as far as you can. So again, we're working a little twist here. Stand into your feet and your shin, your front foot, your back shin, and then come back to the front. Okay, rotate. Another option is to reach your hands open, which can be helpful. I actually like that for the stretch. And come back to face front. Good. Rotate and stretch it open and lift it up and wrap it forward. Good. Big stretch. That's it. Come up to center. Let's go 2 more times. Started outdoor gardening this week and got a little overexcited about it. I was like, yeah, let's aerate the soil, let's till it, let's dig it up, let's do a whole rock garden. Jeez, talk about not having an off switch. Let's come back to center. Good. Shake it out, go to the other side. It was a lot. I can feel it in my hips and my back. Not too much, but different, right? Let's rotate towards the front leg, reach it down, come up. Sometimes the interesting thing about doing these seasonal activities is, your body is not well versed in that language. And so it can do it, but it definitely feels it afterwards. Definitely has something to say about it later on. Good. Couple more here. Let's go last one. Grunts and groans are welcome. All right, just being mindful of our time, let's close up with a little hamstring and hip stretch on our back. So I've got a yoga strap, again, a towel, your own hands, anything will do. I do have a loop in my strap for my foot, so if you have one too, let's gather it up. We'll start with one knee bent and the other leg straight, and we're just gonna gently hang on so we're not creating stress in the upper body as we stretch the lower body. And we're just gonna work the range of motion. So come to a place that feels doable. And then with the strap, start to bring yourself into a range that feels more like a stretch. So there's some intensity there. It is not so painful that you're having a fight or flight moment, okay? We used to say, I used to say in my big studio, fake it till you feel it. And what that means is that if you want to feel comfortable and calm in an intense stretch, then you have to kind of fake it, not to the point where you're compromising the integrity of your stretch by any means, but you see a lot of people and they're like, oh, and you know that that is how they're experiencing the stretch, and it's probably how they're gonna experience every single stretch. But if you can kind of self-soothe as you pull back and say, I'm okay, my muscle tissues are lengthening, I'm breathing, I know I can stop when I hit my limit, and then release. And you get yourself into a space that can just soothe as you're going through. It can help you find your actual edge of your stretch, the actual edge of your range of motion, not just the one that you think you have or the one that's like just when you hit the edge, you're like, yep, I'm good, I'm done. Because we want to increase our capacity for muscular stress so that we have more choices out in the world, so that if we find ourselves, God forbid, slipping or falling or anything like that, our brains are like, oh no, we know this range of motion, so we can handle it. Yeah? Good. All right, so come to a working range. It's not the end range, but it's a working range. And we're just gonna bend the knee down a little bit, and that might bring your thigh a little closer. And again, never an expectation to do my range of motion. This is just the one that is my end range. And then when you press up, I want you to see if you can leave your thigh where it is as you straighten your leg as much or as little as possible, whatever's available to you. So again, we're bending down, we're letting gravity help the thigh come closer to your chest, and then you're straightening your leg without popping your leg away from you. So it might be a little, like if I go to my way end, then I'm gonna go there and that's the length, that's as much as I get, okay? If I push the thigh away, I start to straighten, but the goal is on lengthening here, not just straightening it up. Woo! Let's go a couple more here, bending down. And then moving from that lower leg, very specific motion. One more. Keeping your thigh close to you. Good, so if you can maintain this position with that stretched leg, go for it. If it's possible to lengthen your bottom leg out, go for it. That should probably increase your stretch a little more. Might take your leg away from you. Good, and then you're gonna release the leg back towards a 90-degree angle, and if you're very tight today, you can always bend your knee. Take the strap or your towel ends into your opposite hand and cross over your body without lifting your hip too high off the ground. So you're working on deepening the crease of your inner thigh, reaching your leg across the body, giving yourself support. I'm pulling slightly up with that leg to encourage the stretch and slightly over. And with my stretched leg, I'm pushing a lot into the strap to give it some sense of security. There's some activity going on there, so I'm not just hanging out in the stretch. right, let's just stay for a few more beats. By the way, I don't like this. So just so we're clear, least favorite. I would prefer not to stretch at all, but I need to. It's interesting, as a dancer, you know, you get the stretch so you can get the lines of the legs, you can get the legs up high, etc. But, you know, there's an end goal that you're stretching towards. But in adulthood, let's release, the end goal is really just joint health, and that's not always as provocative as kicking your leg over your head. So you're gonna take your leg out to the side, wherever it is for you. My range is not your range, and I'm pulling up a little bit. So we're getting back into that inner thigh stretch that we did a little while ago. And class is a little longer today because honestly, we need a little more time to navigate through these stretches. So thank you for sticking with me if you've been here. My whole intention with these classes on YouTube is just, it's really annoying to me, in all honesty, when I go to see if I'm like, want to try a class out in another discipline, and the class is like 15 minutes. It's fine, every movement counts, but go ahead and bend your knee in. Let's finish with a little pigeon or outer thigh stretch. So I'm pulling the heel up and across to the opposite shoulder and letting my knee open like so. But anyways, you know, we're dropping these 15-minute practices. They're fine, they're totally fine. But I want a full experience when I'm going into class, and you know, especially if I'm making the time for it. So I really enjoy creating these longer, full half hour, full 40 minutes in most cases class. I think we're a little past that. We are, but we'll be all right. Okay, so let's take the strap off. Let's reach it. Let's lower it down. Let's shake it out a little bit. Give yourself a little rumble through the hips, maybe a little windshield wiper through the legs. Let's stand that leg we just stretched back up, and then we'll finish up on the other side. So find your loop or take your towel around your foot, and then we're just gonna slowly find that edge with a calm face, and then release. And I want to be clear, when I was in teacher training for Pilates, we used to talk about this concept of the mask. So it was like, we were supposed to not show anything on our face when it was challenging. And as teachers, we were supposed to show people that it was possible. And there's definitely some good in that concept, but there's also a lot of like disassociating that can happen. So I am not suggesting that you disassociate from your experience with the movement. I'm suggesting that you support yourself through it by noticing when you're cringing or gripping your jaw or tensing up all over your body, and seeing if that's your only option. Sometimes it is, and that's when you know, like, hey, I'm in my end range, I am pushing my limits. Sometimes it's not your only option, it's just the option that you know or you've seen somebody else do. And so for me, it's all about just exploring those things. Not faking it is probably not the right way to say it. Soothe your way through it, maybe, is a better way to say it. Maybe we'll retire fake it till you feel it. It's like, in context, it makes sense, but in general, I don't want you to disassociate. All right, let's find our working angle. Bend down, and then try to kick your leg up into that deeper stretch. Yes. Nice and calm, right? We could be here all day. I'm shocked that Flash stayed here the whole time. He likes the cold floor. All right, last two. And last one. Good, take it nice and long. Straighten out the bottom leg if you like. And then we're gonna take the opposite hand. We're gonna release to a working position, and then slowly bring it over to the side without lifting that hip off. We did a walk today where it's called a smell everything walk. And so I really let him lead, and he gets to smell everything. And this is a means of honestly the dog attending to their own nervous system, because smelling allows them to know where they are, know where it's safe, know if it's interesting, know if they want to roll in it. And so when you let them smell a lot of things, you give them the opportunity to kind of drop into their soothing system, to their ability to know where they are in space. Let's go out to the side. And the dog's brain is the part of the dog's brain that orients itself to smell, that processes smell, is 40 times larger than the part of our brain that does it. And it's like 1/8, I believe, of a dog's brain is allocated towards smell, which is larger than the part of our brain that's allocated towards sight. I just find that so interesting. So the way that I put it is, you let the dog, instead of letting the dog ride sidecar, you let him take the driver's seat, and then you also walk with them and see what is there to notice for you. Go ahead and bend your knee in. You're gonna pull that foot towards you, the knee reaches away. And in that way, you move the intention away from your steps, away from your workout, away from your cardio, even away from your outside time, and instead you let somebody else take the lead, and you just notice the experience you're having, and it can be so beneficial to your nervous system as well. All right, let's unloop, let's reach it up, let's lower down, and then today we're gonna end in a laying down position. So I'll invite you to bend your knees back up. You might like to take your hands on your abdomen, maybe one hand on your abdomen, one hand on your heart, whatever feels nice for you. And if you're in a space where it's safe to close your eyes and you feel comfortable doing that, go ahead and let your eyes close. And if you need to keep them slightly open, obviously that is okay. So we're just going to tune into our breath. And for the last piece, we're going to do an exercise called the 81-second breath. And don't worry, you don't have to hold your breath for 81 seconds, not consecutively at least. So the exercise is an inhale and an exhale, and then we're gonna sustain or pause the breath for a count of 1. And then we're gonna inhale and exhale and sustain or pause the breath for a count of 2. Now, one thing I wanna be really clear about is that when we pause the breath, the intention is to do it just as literally a pause, a break between the two cycles of breath, not a tense holding of your breath, okay? So let's breathe in and out for just nothing. So inhale and exhale. And then we'll do another breath, inhale and exhale. And sustain the breath for 1. Inhale and exhale. And sustain for 1, 2. Inhale and exhale. 1, 2, 3. Inhale and exhale. And pause for 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale and exhale. Pause for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale and exhale. Pause for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale and exhale. Pause for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale and exhale. Pause for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale and exhale. Pause for 3, 2, 1. Inhale and exhale. Pause for 2, 1. And inhale and exhale. And pause for 1. And just breathe regularly for you. If you feel really good in this place and you want to continue a breathing practice, I'll encourage you to just stay for a few more minutes. If you're ready to get on with the rest of your day or your night, release your hands, start to wiggle your toes a little bit. Maybe roll a little side to side on your hips, blinking your eyes open gently. Taking a deeper breath, reach your arms overhead, your legs out. Take a nice yawning, opening stretch for your back and your hips. Good. When you're ready, you can bend the knees back up and slowly recover back to seated. Hi, friends. You did such a good job. All right. Wonderful work today, everybody. I hope that felt as good to your body as it did to mine. Before you transition to your next piece, I want you to remember to check in and see why the moves we did today mattered to you. And you'll notice as we've started to diversify the classes in this channel, from cardio to weights to seated to stretching to mobilizing, you're getting a lot of different opportunities to move with your body that maybe some of them are brand new to you. My hope is that you'll start to understand which ones matter more to you in this season of your life. Sometimes you're going to have seasons that are all about strength training, sometimes all about cardio and sweat, sometimes all about really regulating your nervous system. The important piece is that you are aware of what's serving you and what's helping your body move through the world right now. This movement practice, it's a life support system. We, on this channel at least, we're not looking for aesthetic goals. We're not really working on performance-based goals if they don't serve the performances you're doing throughout the day. So remember that when you take a second to identify what matters or why it mattered to you in your life today, you actually help to download the messaging that movement supports you regularly and in many different ways. So with that, I will see you on Monday. I promise. I promise. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Hello to those of you who have taken this at a different time and place. Thank you. Oh yes, gardening. Beautiful, everybody. Remember to share classes. I know that you're doing so much already. It does help. We're closing in. We have 1,000 views, over 1,000 views now. So that felt like a pretty big milestone. And we're coming up on I think 500 subscribers. So let's keep going. Yeah, let's keep going. All right, big love to you. See you soon.